everyone, welcome back. Fubar here, and today we are talking about the skill tab system and what is the most valuable skills to be utilized in the skill tab system. So today we're going to be checking this out directly. Okay. Now to explain the sorry, cat got my tongue. To explain the skills tab system in a brief overview, only the leading officer in a unit can have a special skill. Your skill slots open up your first one at 182 days of the server age and also 300 days of server age of the server you're currently on. So, with that said, you got four different sections right here on the skill tab section when assigning. You got offense, protection, balanced, and special. And we're going to cover the most important skills that you should be focusing on utilizing based off each category. So without further ado, we're going to start with offense, and then we're going to go to protection, balance, and then special. So for offense, easily the most valuable skill in this one that you should be focusing on at all times will be any skill that increases troop damage that is not assigned to a specific unit type. Damage buff of 15% is commonly found on both White Wolf and also Bloody Mary and also Death Adder and a few other units as well. The damage buff directly increases your damage, which will be a higher percent value than increasing your firepower. So this will always be a priority on a unit if you're trying to maximize your damage on a unit. So such as a helicopter or a light tank or artillery piece or RL or even a fighter plane, this will be a excellent choice to go with. The next one I want to talk about would be reload time. Well, not reload time, I'm sorry. It would be da- damage specific skills, which is such as Golden Eagles here, where he does the officer's troop deals damage to helicopters and tanks by 20% increase. This is another highly useful skill. Bear with me, I'm looking for the specific skills right here. Any siege skills are very valuable. Eruptor and also Spanner have this skill, and they are very valuable. I believe also Eye of Providence has it. Hold on. Yep, he does. So any damage to increase fortification damage is highly valuable, especially for artillery units. Or arguably, you can even do this on MBTs. But I highly recommend focusing on these skills because they're going to help you kill bases faster. The next, oh, we accidentally dropped out. Sorry. The next more valuable skill, and this is actually kind of a debate, would actually be garrison damage. Garrison damage is very valuable because when you're on base defense, you want to be able to do the maximum amount of damage to that your enemy troops as possible to get more kills and to survive longer. So like Percy has this, Antonina has this, a few other officers have it, and it's very valuable. As you can see right here, any any skill damage increase is just like the troop damage increase. It is a very sought after skill. Not many officers have it. Antonina does, and it is very valuable because it can increase your overall tactical skill damage for that one officer. And it does not affect the second officer. On to protection. Damage resist. One of the most important ones in the game as far as for boosting your skill tabs. Damage resist is what will block all incoming, will help reduce the incoming damage done based off whether it's blast damage from an artillery piece or direct fire from a tank or a tank ground based unit that is not artillery. So this skill right here is very valuable. Two officers in particular offer different percentage values that I'm aware of off the bat of my head, which is Lady Justice and Argent Flame. Both of them provide a 20% damage resist buff, and that is very, very valuable. HP buffs are also very valuable, especially if you're setting up a unit for tanking bases or to manipulate the shield of Thorn and Steel Fighter together. The higher your HP, the better. So this is a very valuable skill. One of the most sought after and most valuable skills in the game is Golden Eagle's Best of the Best. Reason why this skill is so valuable is because not only is he giving you a 15% damage resist buff, but he's also providing a shareable skill of a 10% base damage resist buff. So that means you can have him deployed, share his skill, and now you will have a 20% damage resist, base damage resist for when you're on base defense. Very valuable, super good to have. Now, the next most valuable skill in my opinion is the skill damage reduction that is offered by a few officers in the game. That is the skill damage reduction from Thorn Countess, and I know a couple other officers have them. I can't remember. I believe Lord of Order, the new exclusive officer, has it as well. What this means is that any skill damage incoming to your unit will suffer 30% less skill damage, which is very significant. And if you can double stack this on a unit, you're going to be able to survive significantly longer in the game. Yeah. So that will be it for the protection skill. Now we're going over to balance. Balance skills in the game are very valuable. I know there's a few more that are not on this list that I don't have the officers unlocked, but the fun fact about this is that Death Adders and also Winter Huntsman's balance skill are reversed, whereas Vox's is balanced. Both of them are at 15%. The other one would be at 5%. The other and 15%, and that's how they flip flop. These are very useful when you need to fill when you're like trying to manipulate the shield for your base, so that or you're just trying to overall stack HP and firepower on a unit. Now remember, firepower is less valuable than increasing your overall troop damage because it's just an increment of measurement to actually determine your overall troop damage. So therefore, that's why that's not so valuable. But when you already used up both your protection skills of boosting your troops' HP, you can go to balance and stack up balance skills on top of that, and it would be super valuable. Special skills. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because there is a lot of valuable skills in the game, but now we're going to limit down which ones you should be prioritizing because this is where the nitty gritty gets to it. So, for artillery pieces, I'm going to recommend the Know Thyself, which it just reduces all the skill prep time for the officers in the troop on our artillery piece. This is huge. This is a very big deal. If you're working that in conjunction, like say you have Lady Liberty and also Savior of the Nation, this skill alone will reduce the skill to prep time. And in conjunction, working together with Savior of the Nation and his ability, if awakened, to instantly fire off his tactical skill on every other shot, very, very devastating. Here we go. Draconian Draconian drills. What this does is going to increase your troop speed by 10% and your unit training speed. This is a very valuable skill, and it should be utilized on either a Martyr MBT, SH, or a helicopter unit, any helicopter unit. And the reason for that is because these units take a longer time to retrain, and the longer you retrain, the less time you're in the battlefield. Also, Whipcracker's second skill, Even Keeled, is a very valuable skill as well. When this officer's tank or helicopter troop is attacked by a skill, there's a 75% chance to reduce the damage taken up to 40% and can be triggered every 4 seconds. That is a huge debuff that's actually higher than Thorn Countess's skill debuff. The difference is hers will be consistent. This one will be every 4 seconds. War Machine's reload buff, very valuable. Lady Bloody Mary's troop speed buff, very valuable. And this is probably one of the most valuable skills in the game. It is worthy enough to be a tactical skill. And what that is I'm going to explain it to you now. Is whenever this officer's tank or helicopter troop attacks an enemy ground force troop, the attack has a 20% chance to inflict sundered armor on a target every 4 seconds, reducing the target's damage resist by 20%, can be triggered every 2 seconds. That is huge because if you're reducing the damage resist of a troop, therefore now you're dealing even more damage. And that will be acceptable to skill damage and direct damage. Very valuable, very devastating, very handy to have. It's a must have skill. This skill right here is a good skill for survivability. A lot of officers have this skill, and it is considered valuable. What it does is when you're outside of combat and you'll say like your army groups retraining or your units retraining, your surviving units within the unit itself will repair itself by 1% every second. And that I believe would be considered the most valuable skills right now in the game as far as specials, because I just read that one right there. I'm sorry for my silence. I was not familiar with Vox's special skill, but those are what I would be considering the most important skills for the skill tab system in the game as of yet to date. There is some I missed that are on like Professor Payne, Lady Liberty, Lord of Order. So I'm going to go and cover those right now because we can view them. And I also got to go over and do Air Force. So please bear with me. So we're going to start with Lady Liberty. I wouldn't focus on her offensive skill. I will recommend you focus on her special skill. Shock and Awe is very powerful and is very devastating when it goes off. And her fourth skill, which is an offensive skill, is definitely a skill I would focus for an artillery troop. Very, very potent when combined with Saber of the Nation, because that way, either way, you're covered. You're going to either do more damage when the enemy unit has more HP or less HP. Professor Payne. Professor Payne's second skill is a special skill, and this is I actually think is valuable, but I've heard a lot of people say, "Hey, this is not that good." But in my opinion, it is pretty good because that means if you're using a light tank, which I believe has a reload of 1.96 seconds, you can potentially heal in 10 seconds at least once. You got a 1 in 5 chance. So every 5 shots, you're going to have at least one healing coefficient of 250. And that is pretty valuable. And that can be done every 4 seconds. Now he has a very good balance skill, and I would recommend this one as well. Ah, and this is the one I was talking about. I knew Antonina had a like partner there, but that was even more potent, and it was Professor Payne's. This is an offense skill that I would highly recommend you focus first because now you can share this skill and all your officers within a troop will do 30% more skill damage, which is even higher than Antonina's. I believe it goes to 25%. So this is a very potent skill, very important to have. Now with the new officer, Lord of Order, his second skill is definitely a must you want to have. It's very valuable because it's going to increase the troop damage of this officer's troop by 20%. And then if the enemy unit, say at MBT, which is very common, running Steel Fighter and Spanner, this it's going to do 20% extra damage to that unit just because it's using a shield. So that's very good. Its special skill is very good because you're getting two for the price of one. Is you're getting an HP buff and that field recovery, so easily way more valuable than the other field recoveries. It would be very good on say a MBT unit like the Vanguard MBT or the Liberty MBT. I wouldn't recommend it for the Martyr MBT simply because it already has a self repair system, so therefore it would be less valuable. And again, he on a protection skill, he has a skill damage reduction of 30%. Very valuable yet again. All right, so now on to Air Force officer training. We're going to just go right through it again. As you can see, I'm not very invested in Air Force. I'm working on that, so please bear with me. So, starting with offense, we're going to work our way down the list. I'm going to go with Blade Wing. Now, it's a little bit different with officers in Air Force because they have different abilities, such as jamming skill capability, and intercept and maneuverability. I'm going to explain those real quick. Intercept is when you're entering combat and the damage you can deal upon entering combat. So this is a very important skill to have, even though the firepower buff is not troop damage, it's still very valuable. And then he does a troop damage buff of 20%. That's huge. I would definitely focus that. Now with this skill, light armaments, increases damage dealt by officers' fighter planes to other fighter planes by 10% and it reduces damage dealt to bombers by 5%. That's actually very huge because you're only having a 5% debuff. So that is very good. And I would prioritize this because there's not many fighter plane officers in the game or bomber officers. So naturally, almost all their skills are going to be good. But the question is, what are worth sharing? This intercept buff is very good and very valuable. Um, the firepower gained after dodging an enemy attack is not that valuable overall, but it can be valuable if you're using this in conjunction on a say a martyr fighter which has a higher maneuverability, which is the chance to dodge attacks. So maneuverability is the chance to dodge attacks. Jamming is to prevent, like to slow down bombers and to lower the bomber damage. So just keep that in mind. Another intercept skill buff that is very good. Another damage buff by Golden Pixie that is very valuable because that can be shared to fighter planes. Very valuable. This one is bomber specific. This would be good for bomber players, but not for me specifically, and I would focus that. That I don't know if that would be very valuable because we don't have really many officers that do critical strike on Air Force. Again, another firepower boost that would be which is universal, so it can be shared to bomber or fighter. That would be very good. This is the one for bombers, and this is a very valuable skill, especially if you're using it on, say, a Liberty Bomber, and you're trying to use it in conjunction with Golden Pixie and Rictus Reaper. Very valuable. Another firepower buff, but only for bombers. Not that valuable. All right, on to protection. Damage resist, very good. Like I said before. HP buff, very good. Another damage resist buff that can be shared. That is very valuable. An HP buff for bombers only, so that's not really that good. An HP troop buff, that's very good. That can be shared. Not that good because good overall, unless it's on a bomber. Because that, I mean, it can be shared only to bombers, even though he's on a fighter officer. This is very good for Liberty bombers, not so much for the other two, unless they fly a little bit too close to an enemy base. HP skill, very good. However, that HP skill right there is meant for fighter planes only, so therefore it's kind of lacking. It's not the highest priority. Special skills. This is where it's going to get interesting. When this officer's fighter plane kills an enemy unit, it has a 30% chance to recover HP, healing coefficient of 250, can trigger every 4 seconds. That's very good. This is very good because it increases the maneuverability of the officer's troop, so therefore you could dodge more attacks, whether it's a bomber or a fighter. Very good. Patrol speed buff. This is a very important skill because it's going to allow you to hit your enemy target more and patrol faster. Oh, we do have a critical strike, so yeah, that would work in conjunction pretty well of the other offense skills. So maybe I would give that a meh because it's only a 10% chance, so that's kind of hard to land a critical hit. Stability buff that's only applies to bombers, so not that great. Patrol speed buff, another good one. Another patrol speed buff, but only for bombers, so meh. And a healing coefficient for bombers. This is a very good one. Um, this is very, very useful, especially on a Marder or also Vanguard bomber. Very important skill and is kind of a must-have even if you don't want to run Rictus Reaper and invest all those tokens into him. This is a very important skill. Okay, guys, this is going to wrap this up. Just so you guys know, this is my personal take on what I find valuable for skills in the officer skill tab system. You may have different opinions. That's fine. Feel free to share them in the comment section below. Or if I missed something, please share it. Also, if you guys want, you guys can join my community Discord. The link will be in the description below. If you did find this video helpful, please like, comment, and share the video. And also subscribe. So this is Fubar. I got your 6. Peace.